You know how you sometimes stumble across these online family vlogs and everything looks picture perfect,
Hmm.
kids laughing, wholesome activities, the whole nine yards?
Oh, absolutely.
But what happens when that flawless image shatters
Mm.
and you discover something truly disturbing lurking beneath the surface?
That's the unsettling heart of what we're exploring today. We're taking a deep dive into the story of Ruby Frank, who many of you might remember as the seemingly devoted mother from the Eight Passengers YouTube channel.
Right. 8 passengers.
Her case and the child abuse charges against her and her business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt, sent shockwaves far beyond the online world. It really did.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, you've given us a range of really informative sources. We've got news reports from outlets like The Sun, CBS News, The Daily Texan, People, and Time, alongside official legal documents from Washington County and Utah.
Hmm.
We're also looking at excerpts from Ruby's daughter Sherry's powerful memoir and insights from the Hulu documentary Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frank.
Yeah, that documentary was quite something. Our goal isn't just to rehash the grim details that have already been widely reported, though. What we really want to do for you is understand the core of this tragedy.
Get to the heart of it.
Exactly. We'll be dissecting the key events, trying to understand the motivations that drove them, and examining the significant fallout. This isn't just another true crime narrative. It touches on the intense pressures that come with online fame, the insidious power of distorted belief systems, and ultimately the strength and resilience within families.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, looking at how this online phenomenon began. Ruby Frank launched the 8 Passengers YouTube channel back in 2015. For you following along, this channel was all about showcasing her life with her then-husband Kevin and their 6 children in Springville, Utah.
What's interesting to consider from the outset is how the channel initially presented itself through the lens of their Mormon faith. It was marketed, in essence, as a glimpse into the life of a happy Latter-day Saint family.
A very specific image.
Right. This particular framing, the portrayal of specific family values, clearly resonated with a large online audience and played a significant role in their early and rapid growth.
And it really took off.
Yeah.
At its peak, 8 Passengers had a staggering 2.5 million subscribers. Reports suggest they were pulling in over $100,000 a month. It painted this picture for you of this really traditional, wholesome family life.
Huge numbers. But even in those early, seemingly successful years, if you look back, there were certain incidents, certain parenting decisions that Ruby made public that sparked considerable controversy online, weren't there.
Oh, definitely.
These moments, in hindsight, might be seen as early indicators of a more rigid and potentially problematic approach.
Definitely. You might remember the incident in 2020 where Ruby admitted to making her son Chad sleep on a beanbag for 7 months as a punishment for a prank. That got a lot of attention.
7 months on a beanbag.
Yeah.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that. You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October, and they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's been in my head. It's pretty funny, but now that I look back, I mean, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, he was like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walk out and
if you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
it was not funny.
Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And
Smaller.
Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room.
Then there was the time she refused to bring lunch to her kindergartner daughter, Eve, who had forgotten it at home, explaining it as a life lesson.
Got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. and hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
These actions certainly triggered significant backlash within their online community, prompting many viewers to question the line between firm discipline and something that could be considered overly harsh or even punitive.
It was definitely crossing a line for many people.
It raises a question for you. Were these isolated incidents, or were they indicative of a deeper underlying philosophy?
Well, the 8 Passengers channel eventually came to an end. The specific reasons weren't entirely disclosed publicly. But then Ruby took a new direction, partnering with Jodi Hildebrandt on Connections, which was presented as a form of counseling or self-help program.
Oh, Connections.
They also launched the Moms of Truth podcast and Instagram account, where their parenting philosophies took a noticeably stricter turn.
The shift is really a critical juncture in the narrative for you to understand. It signifies a move away from simply documenting family life towards actively promoting a very specific and ultimately, as we now know, deeply harmful ideology of parenting.
Definite pivot.
And the introduction and increasing influence of Jodi Hildebrandt in this period is where the trajectory of the story becomes increasingly concerning.
Exactly. So let's delve into Jodi Hildebrandt. She was a therapist, but it's crucial for you to know that her professional license had been suspended prior to her becoming deeply involved with the Franke family.
That's a huge red flag right there. Her initial connection was as a therapist for their son, Chad.
Right, for Chad.
And from that initial professional relationship, Hildebrandt's influence seems to have expanded incredibly rapidly and in a very disturbing manner. By August 2021, she had moved into the Franke family home.
Moved right in.
This physical proximity likely facilitated a much deeper level of control and influence.
Kevin Franke in the Hulu documentary shared some really unsettling accounts from this time. He described Hildebrand experiencing what he termed possessed trances.
Possessed trances.
And it seems Ruby genuinely believed she needed to help Hildebrand overcome these, even to the extent of sleeping in the same room as her. It paints a picture of a very unusual and, well, enmeshed relationship between the two women.
It certainly does.
She's mine. She's mine. She knows. She's mine.
And this coincided with a growing sense of isolation for other members of the family. Kevin and their son Chad were asked to move out of the home.
Push out.
Their eldest daughter, Sherry, was also reportedly cut off from the family after she reached out to her father. It appears as though Hildebrand was systematically creating a tighter and tighter circle of control around Ruby and the younger children.
It's like she was actively dismantling the existing family structure. And this increasing isolation, it seems, paved the way for a really radical and horrifying transformation in Ruby's parenting beliefs. Under Hildebrandt's influence, her views became more and more extreme, often justified by what they presented as a very strict interpretation of religious principles.
Exactly. The sources indicate their growing conviction that the children were, in some way, afflicted or even possessed by negative influences or evil spirits.
That specific belief seems key.
This belief system then became the twisted rationale for increasingly severe and abusive punishments, framed as necessary for the children's repentance or spiritual cleansing. It's a scary path.
We're talking about a complete departure from even the controversial methods we saw earlier. The Moms of Truth rhetoric started condemning things that most people would see as normal and healthy, like socializing with peers or even engaging in exercise, bizarrely labeling them as mere coping strategies to avoid supposed truth.
Yeah, condemning exercise. That's odd.
It was all about this incredibly isolated, punitive, and extreme approach to raising children.
This wholesale rejection of normal, healthy childhood activities as mere coping strategies really highlights the deeply distorted reality they were operating within. It's a hallmark of many extremist belief systems where anything outside the tightly controlled ideology is viewed with suspicion and as a potential threat.
Like building walls around them.
Exactly. This kind of thinking often leads to the isolation of individuals and families from broader society.
And this distorted reality, as you know, tragically led to absolutely horrific abuse. The timeline leading up to the arrests is just devastating to recount. Even before the final escape, neighbors had growing concerns, especially after Kevin moved out and they noticed the younger children being left alone for extended periods.
You wonder what they were thinking. The neighbors, I mean. It's important to remember that Franke actually requested a welfare check in September 2022, a full year before the eventual arrest.
A whole year earlier.
But, heartbreakingly, no intervention occurred at that time. The reports suggest this was due to a lack of direct witnessed physical abuse.
So frustrating.
This really underscores how challenging it can be for authorities to intervene in these situations, especially when the abuse is happening behind closed doors and is often masked by a seemingly normal facade.
Then comes August 30th, 2023, a pivotal and ultimately life-saving day. Ruby Frank's 12-year-old son bravely managed to escape from Jodi Hildebrandt's home in Ivins, Utah.
Just imagine that kid's courage.
His condition was just horrific. He was severely emaciated, and there was duct tape around his wrists and ankles. He approached a neighbor, desperately pleading for food, water, and for someone to call the police.
That moment of escape is both incredibly harrowing and profoundly courageous. The swift action of the neighbor in contacting the authorities was absolutely crucial.
Thank goodness for that neighbor.
Answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Yes. Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
Well, what's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
Have a seat. What's your name? How'd you get here?
I
2221512. I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house and he's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry and he's thirsty.
need someone immediately.
But he has duct tape around
And big
his ankle.
injuries, there's sores around them.
Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been...
He also has
and he has it around his
wrist
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been...
Needs immediate attention. Oh, you were such a good kid.
This kid is obviously been... I think he's hungry and he's been young, but he's had up with very stocking feet. So he escaped.
We need the police here now.
They're on their way.
You don't have any allergies
Will
to
do.
that? Okay.
I hear a car, but they're not coming in the driveway.
How did you get the ropes on you? Who did them? You're not in trouble with me, okay? We're just trying to figure out what's going on. Our main focus right now is you, okay? Who put the ropes on you? Supposed to help you what?
And the subsequent discovery of Ruby's 9-year-old daughter inside Hildebrandt's home was equally shocking and distressing. She was also severely malnourished, had a buzz cut, and was found hiding in a closet, clearly terrified.
Hiding in a closet, it's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, my buddy. I'm a police officer. How you going for the uni here? Hey, you okay? Is it just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name? I just have one. Where's your sister at?
Contact one.
You okay? Huh? You doing okay? You don't want to talk to me? Yeah, that's okay. Can you come with me though? We got Jody out here. You know Jody? She's outside with us. You take your time, bud. I'm in no hurry. I'm a police officer. Did you know that? I don't mean to hurt you at all. You doing okay? Are you scared? Yeah? You're okay. Do you need help? You want to come with me? No? I'm not going to hurt you. Promise. See this right here? It's a badge. It tells me I don't hurt people. I'm just here to make sure you're okay. If you're in no way in any trouble, I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to make sure you're okay. And I get if you're scared. I would be too. Okay? You want to come with me?
The investigation that followed painted a truly nightmarish picture of what these children had been enduring. They were essentially being held in what was described as a work camp-like setting.
Work camp.
We're talking about the regular denial of basic human necessities like adequate food, water, and even beds. They were deprived of any form of entertainment, forbidden from interacting with others outside of this immediate abusive environment.
Just complete isolation and deprivation. And the physical abuse was relentless and cruel. The children were forced to perform incredibly strenuous physical labor, often outdoors in extreme weather conditions.
Yeah, the Utah heat.
They were subjected to beatings, and perhaps most damagingly in the long term, they endured severe emotional and psychological abuse, which led them to believe that they were inherently bad and that they somehow deserved this horrific treatment.
That internalizing of the abuse is just heartbreaking. The specific details that emerge from Ruby Frank's plea agreement and excerpts from her own journals are frankly chilling. She admitted to forcing her son into hours of grueling physical activity as punishment, making him do outdoor work in scorching heat without water, which led to severe sunburns. The constant denial of food and water, being bound with handcuffs and ropes, the list goes on.
It's hard to even process.
She even confessed to kicking him, holding his head underwater and smothering him, all while telling him he was evil and possessed. It's just unimaginable.
And the abuse inflicted on her 9-year-old daughter was equally horrific in its own way. She was also forced to do outdoor labor, often barefoot, and was similarly denied food and water. The psychological torment of being constantly told she was evil would have a devastating impact on a child's developing sense of self.
Just crushing their spirit.
The journal entries, as you mentioned, are particularly disturbing, such as the one titled Big Day for Evil, where she chillingly recounts holding her son's head underwater.
Calling it Big Day for Evil.
And her twisted justification for starvation, I will not feed a demon, reveals the extent of her distorted thinking. Even something like shaving her daughter's head was used as a cruel and dehumanizing form of punishment for simply expressing distress or whining.
It's truly sickening to hear these details. And the reported use of cayenne pepper and honey to treat the son's wounds is particularly disturbing because it strongly suggests Hildebrant was fully aware of the physical harm being inflicted.
Oh, absolutely.
This wasn't a case of accidental injury. It was a pattern of abuse they were actively trying to manage and conceal.
The fact that they were attempting to treat the injuries, albeit with completely inappropriate and likely ineffective methods, speaks to a level of calculated cruelty. It implies an awareness of the harm they were causing and a desire to perhaps mitigate the visible signs likely to avoid detection from the outside world.
Right. Trying to cover their tracks, essentially. Following their arrest, both Frank and Hildebrant were initially charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse.
6 counts each.
But then, in December 2023, both entered into plea deals, each pleading guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. A significant element of Frank's agreement was her commitment to testify against Hildebrant, although ultimately Hildebrant also pleaded guilty.
So they both took deals in the end, and the sentencing in February 2024 brought a degree of legal accountability, although the profound and lasting impact on the children is something that will undoubtedly continue for years to come.
For their whole lives, really.
Both Franke and Hildebrant received 4 consecutive prison terms of 1 to 15 years. This means they could potentially serve up to 30 years each, with the final duration of their sentences to be determined by the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole.
So, a significant amount of potential prison time. The prosecutor's description of the environment the children were living in as a concentration camp-like setting really underscores the severity and depravity of the abuse.
That's a powerful comparison, and the articulation of the primary motivation as religious extremism offers a chilling glimpse into the distorted mindset that fueled their actions.
It's also notable to consider their statements during the sentencing hearing. Franke acknowledged her actions, referred to the responding officers as angels, and significantly attributed a great deal of blame to Hildebrandt's influence.
Pointing the finger.
For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me. I was led to believe that this world was an evil place, filled with cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, church leaders who lie and lust, husbands who refuse to protect, and children who need abused. My choice to believe and behave this paranoia culminated into criminal activity for which I stand before you today ready to take accountability. Jodi Hildebrandt was never my business partner, nor was I ever employed by her. I have never received wages from her or connections. Jody was employed as my son's counselor in 2019, and in 2020 I paid her to be my mentor. It is important to me to demonstrate my remorse and regret without blame. I take full accountability for my choices, and it is my preference that I serve a prison sentence. Thank you to the officers in Santa Clara and the Ivan City Police, Nick Hellman, Brian Palufo, Cy Pikuvit, Mike Pondoyo in Tobler, John Ward, Dee Lewis, and Chief Flowers. You were the angels who came and saved my children. I especially want to thank Detective Jay Bate. She plucked me out of a situation I didn't know how to get out of. And the moment she handcuffed me was the moment I gained my freedom. You were not the controlling ones. I was. Thank you to the medical staff at Intermountain Hospital. Your skill, tenderness, and professionalism helped heal my children. Jody and I inflicted the injuries.
Hildebrant, in contrast, offered a more terse statement, saying she would submit to what the state feels is an appropriate amount of time served.
Very different tones there.
Since then, there have been other significant developments. Ruby and Kevin Franke finalized their divorce in March of 2025, with Kevin being granted full custody of their 4 minor children who are still living at home.
That seems like the right outcome for the kids.
Interestingly, reports indicate that Ruby intends to keep the last name Frank.
And the legal repercussions extend beyond the criminal proceedings. A former client of Connections filed a lawsuit in January 2025 against Franke, Hildebrandt, and the Connections program itself, alleging fraud and racketeering.
So others were affected too.
This suggests that the harm caused by their actions had a reach beyond the immediate family and impacted individuals who sought their professional guidance.
This horrific case also spurred legislative action. Utah has now enacted a new law specifically aimed at providing protections for children of online content creators.
That's positive news coming out of this.
This includes giving children the right to request the removal of media in which they are featured once they reach a certain age. And it mandates that parents who earn over $150,000 from content featuring their children must set aside 15% of those earnings in a trust fund for the child.
Financial protection, finally.
It's a really significant step, and it's noteworthy that Kevin Franke actively supported this legislation, even expressing his own deep regret over vlogging his children.
Good for him for supporting that. And Eve Franke's statement to lawmakers really gets to the heart of the matter. Kids deserve to be loved, not used by the ones that are supposed to love them the most.
So powerful. It's a powerful and poignant reminder of the fundamental betrayal at the center of this case.
Definitely.
What about the rest of Ruby's family? What has been their reaction to all of this unfolding?
Well, Ruby Franke's sisters, Julie Griffiths DeRue and Bonnie Holland, who themselves have a significant online presence as YouTubers, publicly stated that they were completely unaware of the abuse and had become estranged from Ruby sometime prior to the arrests.
Strange beforehand.
Her parents, Chad and Jennifer Griffiths, have described their daughter as having been brainwashed, and it's essentially unrecognizable to them after her involvement with Hildebrant deepened.
Brainwashed. That's a strong word, but maybe accurate here.
Yeah.
And the children themselves. It's almost impossible to fully comprehend the impact of this trauma on their young lives.
Oh, absolutely impossible. The 4 youngest children were initially taken into the care of the Utah Division of Child and Family Services and have been receiving crucial medical and mental health treatment to address the profound trauma they experienced.
That's essential.
The older children have also been navigating the aftermath in their own ways. Shuri Franke, as we mentioned, has bravely shared her experiences and insights in her memoir, The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom, and has become a vocal advocate against the exploitation of children in online content creation.
Using her voice for good.
And Chad Franke is reportedly now pursuing a career in real estate, trying to build a new chapter in his life.
Moving forward. It was also reported early on that Kevin Franke initially expressed a continued love for Ruby, despite acknowledging the immense and unrepairable damage that had been done to their family.
That must have been incredibly complex for him.
However, more recently, it's been indicated that he has requested she cease contacting him from prison, suggesting a necessary drawing of boundaries in the ongoing process of healing.
That really underscores the long and complex road to recovery for everyone involved and the need to establish healthy boundaries in the face of such profound betrayal and harm. You just have to, right?
Absolutely. So as we conclude this deep dive into this incredibly disturbing case, a few key takeaways for you. The seemingly perfect facade presented by 8 passengers masked a truly horrific reality of child abuse, fueled by the dangerous influence of Jodi Hildebrandt and an extremist interpretation of religious beliefs.
That contrast is just stark.
The stark contrast between the online persona and the devastating truth is a chilling reminder of how easily appearances can be deceiving, and the lasting impact on the children and the entire Franke family is undeniably profound.
Absolutely. This case leaves you with a lot to consider. It compels us to think critically about the broader landscape of online content creation and consumption. What are the inherent vulnerabilities for families who choose to share their lives so publicly?
That's a huge question.
And what level of responsibility do viewers and the platforms themselves have in being vigilant and recognizing potential warning signs of abuse or manipulation, both online and in the offline